United States submarine base at Key West, Florida. A dispatch that quoted President Truman's press secretary, Charles Ross, as saying that President Truman has no knowledge of any secret project by this government that would give substance to the existence of such objects. Ross also said that both the Air Force and the Navy deny that such objects exist.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a confession to make. Do you know, it's not really a confession, it's more of a statement. You know when you eat something, particularly a sandwich that has onions on it?
No, I don't eat onions. I'll die first.
Oh my fucking God, grow up.
No,
Grow
I don't
up.
like how they taste. Go fuck yourself.
Are you
Don't
kidding me?
say that to me.
They're
Onions
so
are
good.
so nasty.
They're so delicious.
I don't like the texture. It is offensive to me.
What's offensive about crunch?
Not a fan of it. I'm just not an onion girl.
Well, pretend you are.
Came out of the womb hating onions.
Well, you're missing out. But pretend you are.
Okay.
To everyone else. It does not matter how many times you wash your hands or scrub them, or even use sugar scrub to scrub them, or even use your scrub daddy with Palmolive dish soap on it. It does not matter. Your fingers will smell like onion for the rest of the day. And it irritates me more than anything. The thing that pisses me off is when I smell like food. And I love cooking. And when like my porous dead hair, it's not that porous and dead anymore, but you know.
No,
what
it
I'm
looks
saying.
good. It looks good. It's good.
What-
But for the
it, like,
story,
it absorbs the fragrances of food. And then
yeah.
I'll be like in my room and I get like a waft of my hair and it smells like the food I cooked. It pisses me off. So that's my fingers smell like that and I'm fucking irritated. So hey, what's up? My name's Noelle and I hate when you smell like food.
I guess that my sister used to use like one of those silver bars. It looked like a bar of soap, but it also looked like it was made of silver. And she used to wash her hands with that. And then this orange degreaser, but she was a mechanic. So, hey, I'm Chelsea. I'm the silver bar that you can wash your hands with. And supposedly it makes it so they don't stink.
I know about the orange degreaser hand soap because it sucks the living shit out of your hand as well. Back in the day, many, many moons ago, when I used to work at Lush, we would always have like construction workers and mechanics come in and buy this hand cream that we had called Helping Hands. I don't even think they make it anymore, but it was specifically formulated for people who use that fucking soap because it sucks all the moisture out of your hands.
Interesting.
So,
Well,
but it works apparently.
I don't know. She's
Just
dead
drive
now.
myself
So
crazy.
does it work or does it kill people?
Apparently worked too well. It degreased her so well.
Oh,
She was
my.
like, I'm vanishing, Chelsea. Bye.
Remember when Typhoid Taylor one time sent us that meme and it was like, can you relate to this mom stuff? And I said no. And she went, oh my God, Chelsea, my bad. I forgot. Fucking classic Typhoid Taylor.
Oh,
I hope she never
God.
changes.
Yeah, I hope that people never stop accidentally making like dead parent or dead sibling jokes to you. And then you go, oh, actually, I don't. And then they spiral
Yeah.
out of control and fucking
Yep.
crash out and are just like, I can't
I
wait.
love it when I don't like the person, especially
Mhm.
like when people like try to flex on stuff, then I can like really kill the mood. I kill the mood
Mhm.
just as fast as my mom and my sister died unexpectedly.
Yeah. Yep. That's what they'll say. That's what people will say.
Mm-hmm.
They call her a sharpshooter. Anyway, we are
Never miss.
we are talking today. It's actually a listener requested episode, and I'm going to give Chelsea 3 seconds to pull up what listener specifically requested this of us.
Off. Yeah.
I should have
Oh my
told her to do it
God.
beforehand.
Why not? Why wouldn't you? I have it
Uh,
on the app.
I know, because I'm an idiot. So this was a listener.
Hambone chestnut.
Hambone
Hambone
chestnut.
chestnut.
Hambone chestnut.
The actual fastest turnaround time we've ever had for a listener request. I know that Mike, very much alive, but just for lack of a better term, is turning in his grave of requests because he wanted us to talk about something for like 3 years and we just barely covered it and I already forgot what it was.
It was the sleep. Oh, Gnosticism. Yeah. I was like, we also had the sexy sleep demons. That was a request that we like took a minute to do. I will say I'd never heard of this guy before. Not
Me neither.
Hambone. Edward Bernays. And when I Googled him and all this shit popped up, just a quick Google search. You know when Bella is in the cafe Googling like signs of a vampire?
Yeah.
And that was me. Like that montage was me. And it was saying all of these headlines that like caught my attention, like hero or unethical demon. Like that was basically the summary of it. And I was like, oh, I've got to dig in. So here we are. And we are going to be talking about Edward Bernays. And
yes. And
what?
I don't know what he looks like. I gotta look him up. Edward Bernays.
He's got a mustache. He's a mustache guy.
He fucking looks
like a guy.
He looks like a guy who played Tesla.
Yeah.
Like he kind of, it's like same pose in the Tesla portrait and everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just like one of those guys. So Edward Bernays is not the only, but he is the most important when it comes to what is now modern day advertising. It was with his methods that changed the minds of Americans, ultimately helping create our consumer culture and how we understand, honestly, everything. Born November 22nd, 1891 in Vienna, Austria, to Jewish American parents. And just remember that part right there because I'm going to say something later. It's going to seem crazy. His parents were Anna Freud and Eli Bernays. If that last name rings a bell to you, yes, Anna was the sister of Sigmund Freud. And let me try to explain this. I also want to show Chelsea really quick. Do you see this piece of paper I'm holding up?
Yeah, it's a bunch of squares with names.
This is my physical diagram to understand the family tree, because when I read this out loud, I didn't understand. I was like, wait, so it's like incestual? No, it's not. It's all through marriage. So Eli Bernays' sister, Martha Bernays, married Sigmund Freud, who, as we know, is Anna Freud's brother. Basically, brother and sister-in-laws twice through marriage. I want to also say the way that it was written in all of the articles was like a fucking math word problem. And that's why I had to draw this literal diagram color-coded to make sure I wasn't fucking it up.
I'm going to say something and I don't want you to be mad at me.
What?
You explained their connection to me in the car when we were driving and I went,
And you're like, I don't
got none of it.
Yeah.
So I still don't know if I understand your little drawing, but maybe that can be the cover art for the actual episode.
No one can see the inside of my mind.
Okay.
Because I immediately thought incest, but it's actually not. It's basically like, we'll say Anna Freud and Eli Bernays got married first, and they were hanging out with Eli's sister, Martha, a lot. And then, so that would be Anna's sister-in-law. They were just like hanging out with her a lot. It would be like if we were related and then I just like hung out with you and Oliver all the time.
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh my God, I have a brother. Or not you. Oliver was like, oh my God, I have a brother. And then I met them and married them.
That'd be kind of sick though. I wouldn't hate that. That'd be kind of cute.
So they're brother and sister-in-law twice. Like does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it didn't originally to me. Anyway, the Bernays family moved from Vienna to the United States in the 1890s. Specifically in 1892, the family relocated to New York City. Following his high school graduation in 1912, Bernays enrolled at Cornell University, where he earned a degree in agriculture. and I say this a second later, but his dad worked in grain, big grain, and that's why he got into
Big grain.
agriculture.
Okay.
During his studies and college relationships, he realized his talents were better suited in journalism. And he went on to write for the National Nurseryman Journal. And again, that was a publication about plants. His dad worked in grain. That's why he did that.
You can definitely go to school for farming. Because my sister's ex-husband did that.
It's still a thing. There's like a joke that all of the college football stars take poultry science because if they need to get their GPAs up, because it's like the easiest class to take and it has the highest success rate, like highest GPA is like in that class. So anyway, you totally can. So in 1922, Bernays married Doris E. Fleischman. Fleischman was a member of the Lucy Stone League, a group that advocated for women's rights, and one of their most prolific campaigns was advocating for women to retain their birth names after marriage. She played What? You like that? That's you.
I do like that. I did keep my name after marriage, and it still aggravates people in the family.
You want to know how I know that this is not only a modern woman's ideal, but my boss, your former boss, who I would consider like very successful, also did not take her husband's last name. And I'm like, this is it. This is it. This is the tea. This is what I'm talking about.
But I'm surprised that he married this person because I'm not thinking of him as the hero of the story yet. I'm assuming that he's going to turn out to be a villain.
Maybe.
And how could he have landed such a boss bitch?
Maybe. I mean, that's up to interpretation, honestly, what you think if he's either a genius or a fucking evil villain. Mm-hmm. She played a significant and behind-the-scenes role in the Bernays public relations business. She ghostwrote numerous memos, speeches, newsletters, and provided invaluable strategic insights. Her contributions were instrumental to the success of his later created firm. And we can assume Edward Bernays really did have the gift of persuasion because she also eventually changed her last name.
Interesting. I mean, I might eventually change my last name someday, but I really don't think I'll ever be bothered.
Yeah. I mean, especially now, like back then, you probably just like screamed it out loud and that was how you legally changed it. Now you have to like fill out a bunch of forms, get a bunch of documents. It's so stupid. So
Bear ate my driver's license and it has ruined my life, the amount of inconvenience it has given me. And I cannot imagine how much worse it would be if I had to change my last name.
Yeah, it's wildly inconvenient. I also know that there are actual full businesses whose whole entire job is to do all of the legwork for you and just send you over like a Dropbox that's like signed here, sign this, and then they do everything for you. And it's like a few $100s. And I would do it. It's a literal service because they know how fucking stupid it is.
I would do it if I decide, because I'm not gonna one thing about me, I will always pay for parking.
Sure.
And I will always pay a firm hundreds of dollars to get my name changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Pay them to do it for you. If there's someone who will do it for me and do it correctly, I'd probably do whatever they're selling. So anyway.
Yeah.
Following a meeting with his school friend, Fred Robinson in New York, Bernays became co-editor, you ready for this name, of the Medical Review of Reviews and the Dietetic and Hygienic Gazette in 1912.
I have no idea what either of those are about, but they have words that I know.
Medical Review of Reviews is like if you were lying on a resume. Yes, I was the editor of Medical Reviews of Reviews. So,
man, if I could go back in time and retain the ability to keep Photoshop, it would be over. I would run the world.
You'd be the CEO of Medical Reviews of Reviews. Also, pro tip, people always say, if you need manager experience on a resume, just say that you were the manager of Blockbuster and the manager of what was the other one that went out of business?
Toys R Us.
Not Toys R Us, and the tech place, not Best Buy. It was like
Circuit City.
Circuit City. Say that.
Smart. Or just Photoshop it.
Or lie and use one of your friends.
I did get a phone call once for someone who I had never heard of in my life as a reference.
I remember.
And I was like, what was their name? And they were like, Mario Devesches. And I have no idea. Best review I've ever given in my life.
He honestly changed the trajectory of my life by being such an influential and positive person. I've never met someone more cordial and on time and just so ready to give 110%. Never took a single sick day.
Yep. Yeah. I was basically like, the way that my job day to day went under, and I am now going back to school because they left, because there's no way I can succeed without them at this company. Yeah. Because I didn't have a job at the time. I was like a full-time student. Yeah, so I was like, how the fuck did I become this person's reference?
That was the truth.
I don't work anywhere. So
you did have a job that day, and it was lying for him on his resume.
Yeah. So if he's out there,
you're welcome. Yeah. He's a CEO. He's going to be a private secret benefactor one day.
Oh my God, it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to get a letter in the mail and it's going to be like, you have to go to New York for like a will reading, and I'll go. And it will be him.
His whole
house will be haunted. Yeah. You can come. I'll bring you along.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't wait. So anyway, together, Fred and Edward, they took a stand against outdated health practices, advocating for showers over baths and condemning the restrictive nature of corsets.
I'm liking what I'm hearing so far.
Forward-thinking guys. And I only want to say this because I love baths, but like back then, they were only taking baths, and that's sick and twisted. They were taking one bath every 6 months. So we agree with that. I
went to Cove Fort once, and they would share bath water, and it would go down through the hierarchy. So the men would get to bathe, and then it would be like the women would get to bathe the boys, and then the women and the daughters would all bathe, and they would all share town bath water.
That's fucked. Oh my God. How did we evolve? That's sick. We should have died a long time ago. Yeah. Anyway, they would distribute thousands of free copies of their publications to physicians across the country. 2 months later, Bernays and Robinson turned to a topic to this day the state of Utah has banned: sex education. They used the English translation of Damaged Goods by Eugene Bourreau that dealt with conversations around things like venereal disease and sex work. And they wanted to take this literal show on the road.
How? Just showing slideshow, or like having people go up there with actual venereal diseases to show their like maimed bodies. What? Have someone with syphilis try to read the dictionary, but their brain is full of holes, so they can't do it?
I mean, basically, or they just took the Damaged Goods play and translated it to English, and then had traveling actors go around performing it like it was Hamilton.
I don't know if I like the damaged goods analogy. He was really onto something for a minute there, but now the whole damaged goods thing, like you're damaged goods because you have sex, or you're damaged goods because you have an STD.
I mean, I haven't seen the play, but apparently I know this might come as a shock to you. Despite the university studies I did read for this write-up, I did not watch the play Damaged Goods. But I think it's more of, and I could totally be speaking out of turn, but from what I remember, it was kind of a Rent situation. Like it was telling the story of people, not of like someone showing bush that has like chlamydia, just like people dealing with those things and trying to destigmatize it.
All right. I'm seeing it right now. I can give a very brief synopsis. So the play is in 3 acts, and it centers on a man named George, age 26, who is about to be married. In the first act, he is informed by a doctor that he has syphilis and that he has to postpone the marriage until he can be treated. But at the time, that would have taken 3 to 4 years. he says no. He goes through with the wedding. Then he gets married, and his wife, Henriette, has a baby. The baby is born sick.
With syphilis.
So it's sick with something. So, and the baby's health continues to deteriorate. And the doctor says that they should get a wet nurse. But that's kind of hard because that's expensive at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the doctor looks at the baby and it's like, it is riddled with syphilis.
Yeah. Yeah.
He informs the wet nurse. And then his wife overhears this and she falls down screaming. And the third act takes place in a hospital. His wife wants a divorce.
Naturally.
And the doctor, she wants the doctor to sign a statement saying that her husband had syphilis, but he says he can't because of confidentiality. And then the doctor, and then the doctor says, you know what we need? A discussion about STDs.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yep.
Very good. So
Beautiful.
That's Damaged Goods. Everyone go see it in a town near you.
That guy's fucked up, though. That
Yeah,
would just teach me to not trust men.
Yeah, that's actually the real moral of the story.
Yeah.
So, to support the production of Damaged Goods, they reached out to the play's lead actor, Richard Bennett. They expressed the importance of his role in helping promote sex education and combat social taboos. Bernays believed that this play was a, quote, propaganda play that fought for sex education, end quote. Others thought it to be inappropriate, immoral, and one-dimensional. To rally support for the cause, Bernays established the Medical Review of Reviews Sociological Fund Committee. It's just a really easy...
He gets paid by the letter.
This really easy, simple, unforgettable name.
It's the MRORSFC.
You know? And it was talked about around dinner tables across America.
Rolls off the tongue.
Through his connections, and I guess we can assume salesmanship, he recruited supporters like John D. Rockefeller Jr., Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Eleanor Roosevelt, Reverend John Hayes Holmes, and Anne Harriman Sands Rutherford Vanderbilt, another queen who refused to change or lose any of her names. Naturally, to keep the momentum going, Bernays essentially transitioned into the role of a press agent. But we would now call what he actually did being a public relations manager. He worked with different performers and productions and began experimenting with strategies around public perception and intrigue. An example being promoting the stage play Daddy Longlegs. And I did summarize this one for you, which is about an orphan who received a mysterious benefactor to send her to college to become a writer.
I don't like that name then. Daddy Longlegs.
I know. And it's like, there's more to it that I didn't put in here because it gets kind of weird because he starts sending her anonymous letters and she like loves him in a weird way. It's, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's
okay.
I don't know. It's giving me like Lolita energy. To get audiences to buy into the production, he linked the play to the cause of charity for orphans. By associating the production with a charitable cause, he hoped to get more public interest and support, which he did.
Okay.
Another campaign involved Ballet Russes. To get American audiences interested in the ballet, he published a photo of Flor Rivales, a dancer from the ballet, posing with a snake at the Bronx Zoo and I have it linked right there. I see you highlighting her name. Let's see where it says click for
newspaper. There you go. Oh, that's cool.
It's from the actual newspaper. Anyway, she was posing with a snake at the Bronx Zoo while wearing what at the time was a revealing, scandalous dress.
No.
I know.
Full floor length
I
gown.
know. It's fully covered. I would almost consider it
the photograph.
Mormon.
Yeah.
Looking at this photo now, she kind of looks like a snake charmer in a sideshow, but still, this media stunt obviously got people talking. The outfit she's wearing is more like flapper-esque, which we could also agree is like still very modest, but like back in the day, that was like, holy shit. Those ankles. Do you see how the bottom half of the dress is like beaded? So you can see from the knees down?
Yeah.
Scandalous.
It's right. I would say the most scandalous thing about this is she's looking that snake right in the eyeball. So
yeah,
be
she
careful,
is.
bitch, because that's
yeah,
a dominance thing.
I don't know what type of snake that is either, but
Probably a boa.
it looks kind of small. I don't know.
Well, there's children's pythons. I know that because I'm on Snake Talk.
Are they at the Bronx Zoo?
Yeah, this one was.
It's the same guy. He also worked on Edward Bernays, not the snake. He also worked on promoting the opera singer Enrico Caruso to build up a persona that would get people interested around Caruso. Bernays started to spin stories of how he is such an extremely sensitive person whose voice was so delicate that extreme measures were taken to protect it. So, like, we have to turn the lights off at a certain time. We can only speak in whispers. He has to, like, eat this type of stuff. He can only wear, like, silk. And, of course, people bought in.
Yeah, the original Snowflake. We used to love them. How times have changed.
Now it's just Mariah Carey and her writer throwing high heels at people. One example you all may be more familiar with would be his work with Henry Ford and Ford Motor Company. He positioned the Model T as a symbol of American progress, that it was created with innovation and prosperity. He spoke to its affordability and accessibility, making it a product everyone wanted and needed. He positioned Ford to be the example of traditional American values, such as hard work, individualism, and self-reliance. And before I get to this piece of controversy next, I want to say that it worked. Like when I'm talking about like he positioned, he spoke, he was running advertisements and writing. Like it was posters, it was ad campaigns, it was like write-ups, it was all because obviously like TV wasn't really a thing, girl. It was all like word of mouth stuff and written articles that people could buy and read.
Yeah, he was just a marketing genius, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And I will say that like Henry Ford and like Ford Motors is Americana, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And not even just saying that because like it's American built, but you also to this day in the year 2024, I still think of like Henry Ford as true grit Americana. Like these were the founders of industrialism that like brought modernization to the United States. And the Henry Ford production line is the reason why we had industry and blah, 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 blah. I still like very much think
the
that.
9 to 5. Yeah. The production line. He invented the production line.
Like he is almost blue collar. It's funny because like he was probably one of the richest men in America at that time. But his company was so Americana. It was like the blue zip up like mechanic suits with their metal lunch boxes. Clocking in and clocking out. It was blue collar. It was working class. It was just the average American man. And all of that imagery and association comes from the work that Edward Bernays did with Ford.
Yeah.
To jump forward a bit, in the early 1920s, Ford faced criticism for anti-Semitic remarks. And we all now know that he also had a fucking framed picture of Hitler on his desk. So,
whoops.
Bernays was hired to mitigate the damage. So this was the first time he was used on the other side of PR. Exactly.
His spin zone. He was a spin doctor.
Yep. He was hired to mitigate the damage by crafting a public apology, honestly, the first YouTube apology, and getting Ford to donate and participate in charitable organizations to improve Ford's public reputation. He also worked to position Ford as a philanthropist in the press, highlighting his contributions to education, healthcare, and community development. And objectively, this spin worked.
Yeah, I didn't like. It's like you said, like Ford gets pushed onto our young psyches as an American hero because I learned about him as the inventor of the product line and the basic 9 to 5.
Yeah, you didn't hear about him being a Hitlerian sympathizer.
No, same way I didn't hear about Disney being one until I was much older.
Before I get into this, do you know that there's a whole conspiracy that they titled the movie Frozen because they wanted,
So that when we look for Disney Frozen, nobody knows that he got his fucking head frozen like a lunatic.
Yep. Disney, Walt Disney's head is in cryogenic freeze, and Disney wanted to stop that from being one of the top pings when you search Disney Frozen. So they created the movie Frozen.
See right through you and your little crystal head.
There are very few conspiracies I buy hook, line, and sinker, and that's one of them.
Yeah, that one I'm signed on. When people are like, what's a good conspiracy to believe in? I'm like, Disney Frozen.
That's the one. Yeah. If anyone needs to take like a fun icebreaker to work, that's the one. And everyone will believe you and buy
it's still anti-Semitic because it's Disney. We can't escape it. Every conspiracy theory is anti-Semitic.
It always comes back.
Yep.
So,
but
that's,
Yep.
Naturally, people within the government took notice of Bernays, not Disney's Frozen head, and even though they should. And as the United States entered World War I, the CPI, Committee on Public Information, hired Bernays to work for its Bureau of Latin American Affairs. Based in New York, Bernays and his colleague, Lieutenant F.E. Ackerman, focused on building support for the war, both domestically and abroad, with a particular emphasis on businesses operating in Latin America. Bernays would even come to refer to this work as psychological warfare.
Okay.
And it's just like, it's those nasty posters that are like really fucking racist. It's like shit like that. So one example of his work during World War I, and I'm talking about this one versus like the nasty shit because we're going to get into all of that later. This is just an example of him doing like celebrity PR. So one example of his work during World War I was his efforts to promote the sales of Liberty bonds, which provided funding for the war effort. Bernays used PR stunts that had celebrities in parades toting support for the war and ad campaigns like his Over the Top campaign. This campaign was inspired by the military term going over the top, which refers to soldiers charging out of the trenches into battle. The campaign featured posters and advertisements that depicted soldiers charging into battle with the tagline, "Over the top for Liberty bonds." The goal was to encourage Americans to go over the top and support the war effort by being civilian soldiers by purchasing bonds.
Okay.
Makes sense, right?
I mean, this is like the Uncle Sam stuff and like okay.
All that came from Bernays.
That's insane.
I know. And it started in World War I. It was a natural pivot that after the war, he would stay helping politics for a while. In 1924, Bernays was hired to help soften President Calvin Coolidge's image. He was often referred to as Silent Cal. Some critics felt that he was too detached and aloof, and that he lacked the charisma and vision necessary to lead the nation. His reluctance to speak out on important issues was also seen as a sign of weakness and indifference. So to soften him up with a little PR spin, Bernays put together a vaudeville pancake breakfast at the White House.
Vaudeville? That's crazy pants.
And it included Al Jolson, a popular singer and comedian who very unfortunately and horrifically was known for his blackface performances.
Don't Google it. Don't Google it.
Don't fucking Google it. Raymond Hitchcock, a comedian and actor who was referred to as zany and energetic, but also very unfortunately and horrifically did blackface. And then the Dolly sisters, who were Hungarian-American identical twin dancers, singers, and actresses known for their high glamour. Thankfully, they did not do blackface. And from what I see at the very worst, they perpetuated stereotypes of women being dumb blondes, which honestly, considering the above, I happily take.
They look very much like Roxy Hart Chicago flapper girls.
Yeah.
Like very that.
Yeah, they're very that. So
Whatever.
I just
we
want
can
you to
handle
know-
the blondes or dumb hate.
I will take
think
it.
we'll live.
Oh my God, all day.
Yeah.
The fucking jump scare because I did exactly what you did when it was like, these are the celebrities that were there. And I fucking, Al Jolson's name is up first. And I Google that and I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, now I'm scrubbing my internet history.
It's horrible. It's
oh my
horrible.
God.
It is horrific. And then, like, of course, because like my mind likes to play sentences out in my brain like movies, I just imagine like all of these dumb fucking crusty old white people and this weird silent creepy president just like clapping and slapping their knees as he's doing the most horrifically offensive blackface I've ever seen in my fucking life.
And there's no actual comedic quality to it because shit back then wasn't funny. So it's just him. It's just him running out on stage, but his pants are too big, so they fall down, and then everyone's just pissing themselves laughing.
There's a YouTube video of him doing one of his songs. It will make you want to put a fucking gun in your mouth. I
believe it.
Nothing in the world could have prepared me for what I saw when I Googled him, and I was like, oh, I'll kill myself. So that was you've been warned.
Yeah, that was
really rough. It was really fucking rough. The breakfast was highly publicized and widely reported in newspapers, and the press unanimously came to the conclusion that Silent Al was actually kind of funny and relatable. Edward Bernays, I know, it's really...
I wish it was that easy nowadays.
People, I want to say people aren't as simple-minded, but they are. But the people who you want to, like, aren't. So, but I will say, if someone had that same vaudeville pancake breakfast at the White House, people would take notice and have a lot to say. And
it's true. And no press is bad press.
That's what they say. I don't know about that. Look up that man, and you will probably have a different opinion. But
yeah,
if Trump wins the presidency, I could see him having that exact vaudeville pancake breakfast at the White House.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'll actually, like, what I saw in my mind's eye was just a premonition. So
yeah. Melania just crying in the corner.
Just absolutely like stone faced with like that silent cry.
One silent tear.
Oh, fuck. So Edward Bernays became known as the father of public relations due to his work in shaping public opinion through the use of propaganda techniques, which, if you couldn't put it together, was all that we just talked about. It should come as no surprise that he used some of his uncle's psychological theories in his publicity test. Remember his uncle, Sigmund Freud.
Mm-hmm. But I almost fucking forgot. That's what's crazy. Let
me let you not forget Sigmund fucking Freud. But what is more concerning, remember when I said his parents were Jewish Americans?
Yeah.
Was that he also used the chief propagandist for the Nazi Party and Reich Minister of Propaganda, Joseph Goebbels' work to influence his theories and tests as well.
I can't not hear that in like Jon Stewart's voice, like Goebbels.
Yeah, that's what he looks like, Joseph Goebbels. That's
gross, by the way.
Yeah, he was like, love his shit. You know,
he's one of those guys who's like, don't hate the work.
Yeah, separate the art from the artist.
Yeah.
Whenever I like picture someone defending something problematic, you know that scene from Get Him to the Greek where Jonah Hill is like throwing up at NBC or ABC, whatever, and he's like, my mom loves your shit. That's what I imagine him saying out loud, because that movie is actually the most cursed movie because it has P. Diddy, rapist, Jonah Hill, sexist, evil, narcissistic creep, and Russell Brand, sexual assaultist, narcissistic, Republican fucking creep weirdo. It's the most cursed movie ever made.
I saw it in theaters once. So when you asked if I remember that, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I remember any of it.
So that scene is whenever someone is like trying to defend like a really shitty person or point, my brain plays Jonah Hill being like, my mom loves your shit. So that's what I imagine
Good to know.
Edward Bernays saying about Joseph Goebbels.
That's so fucking cursed.
I know.
Oh my God.
So anyway, now you all know what the inside of my brain looks like. He coined the term engineering of consent to describe the manipulation of public opinion through these different psychological techniques. He believed that the masses were irrational and could be easily swayed by carefully crafted messages. And it is truly hard to distinguish if what he did was brilliant advertising or just brainwashing. Bernays emphasized the importance of understanding the subconscious motivations of the individuals and using them to influence their behavior. Freud, he believed that people were often unaware of their true desires and could be manipulated to act in ways that aligned with corporate or political interests through these means of hidden persuasion. Freud.
Also, just like us not realizing how much we loved Creed.
Yeah.
Until we were in the thick of it.
Hidden persuasion. Some of the techniques he used were... What, you didn't like that?
That was so great. Wild was hard. Persuades today.
You're welcome, Scott Sapp. So some of the techniques were symbolism. By using symbols and imagery to evoke emotional responses, he could cause people to associate products or ideas with positive or negative connotations. Slogans, creating catchy slogans that were easy to remember and could be repeated widely. I assume that he figured this out because his multiple jobs previous had horrific names that were hard to remember, to spread their message quickly and effectively. Slogans act as a shorthand way to convey a complex message or idea. When a slogan is catchy and memorable, it becomes easy for people to repeat and share, which helps to spread awareness of the campaign. And I want to say now that like all of these things in conjunction is how we see, obviously, modern day like campaigns and ads and influencing happening. But I just want to like emphasize that we have to remember we're back in time now and this man is pioneering it.
Yeah, it's crazy because if I went ba-da-dum-bum-ba, you would know that I'm talking about McDonald's. That's just a sound.
Yep, exactly. And it all came from Bernays. Celebrity endorsements. Using famous people to promote products or ideas can make it seem more desirable, as people often associate celebrities with positive qualities such as success, style, or intelligence. Additionally, celebrity endorsements can lead credibility to products or ideas, as people may trust their opinions. And again, something we see every day.
Yeah.
Made popular by Edward Bernays. Third-party endorsements. Having seemingly independent sources endorse products or ideas gives the illusion of objectivity and credibility, creating the impression that their claims were unbiased and trustworthy. So this is where it's like, 3 out of 5 doctors recommend.
Not a paid actor.
Yeah. Yep. News management. By controlling the flow of information, news management can manipulate public perception and shape public opinion. This can be used to promote a particular agenda, discredit opponents, or maintain power. And this could be done by the selective release of information, only releasing information that supports a particular narrative or agenda, while withholding information that may be damaging or controversial. Censorship, suppressing or blocking information that is critical or unfavorable. A spin, which we talked about him putting spins on people before, presenting information in a way that favors a particular viewpoint or interpretation. Manufacturing consent, creating a false sense of public support or consensus through propaganda techniques. So it's like everyone agrees, but no one actually does. Astroturfing, creating artificial grassroots movements or campaigns to influence people's opinion. And just a note here, this is basically what modern day social media influencing is. Specifically, when they target, they call them micro creators because they want to make it seem grassroots and small.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the neighbor next to you is using it. You should use it too. It's not a celebrity. While Bernays' work was what shaped the modern public relations industry, his methods have also been criticized for being manipulative and unethical. His techniques have been accused of contributing to the spread of misinformation, the erosion of trust in institutions, and the exploitation of the public for commercial gain. One of Bernays' most controversial campaigns was his work for the American Tobacco Company in the late 1920s. At this time, smoking was considered taboo for women. Bernays aimed to change this perception and increase cigarette sales among women, and this is how he did it. Bernays organized a parade in New York City where women marched down Fifth Avenue carrying cigarettes. He dubbed them torches of freedom.
I would have been fucking sold, dude.
I know.
Wouldn't you have been fucking sold too?
I almost picked up smoking because I read that. I was like, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
What's up? We're marching with cigs in our hands. Let's go. Fuck.
And think about the time. So he did this because he wanted it to symbolize women's emancipation and their right to choose.
Exactly. Like
He's
the
so
same way burning
smart.
bras, like
Yep.
burning a bra, like hook, line, and sinker. If somebody was like, you can make the patriarchy mad by smoking, I would be like, light them up. I got one for each hand.
He bought me, and I know that smoking will make you die. So.
Yeah, right? I have asthma, and I'm still ready to light up.
Damn, I'm going to stop at the 7-Eleven. The campaign also ran ads like, "You've come a long way, baby," with Virginia Slims. This campaign commodified women's progress and desire to be considered equal to men. Even now, with cigarettes not as popular, me, Noelle, still associate Virginia Slims as a lady's cigarette.
100%. 100%. I don't even know anyone who has ever smoked a Virginia Slim in my life. I haven't met a single woman who smokes a Virginia Slim out of all the women I have met who smoke, but I still only associate those with the cigarettes that women smoke.
Yeah, it's a lady cigarette. He enlisted the help of socialites and actresses to publicly smoke cigarettes, creating a trend and making it more socially acceptable for women to do so. And most importantly, he convinced doctors to endorse cigarettes as a health aid for women, claiming that smoking could help them lose weight and suppress appetite. The campaign was highly successful, leading to a significant increase in cigarette sales among women, and soon all cigarette companies were following suit, including Lucky brand cigarettes, who capitalized on it by telling women to, quote, reach for a Lucky instead of a sweet. Really good stuff. I have the ad below. I'll show you. This debate is still out if medical professionals knew the risk associated with cigarettes back then. They will all claim that they didn't know the long-term effects like lung cancer and tongue cancer, but critics will say they absolutely knew it wasn't good for you. And that is specifically why tobacco companies often funded research and hired doctors to promote the safety of their products and paid to suppress unfavorable findings. And there
that's the exact same thing with OxyContin. They were 100% paid to promote this shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and here, if you keep scrolling, you have the ad. To keep a slender figure, no one can deny, reach for a Lucky instead of a sweet. And then it's this like little flapper looking girl with her lips puckered, ready for a cigarette. And then it's toasted, no throat irritation, no cough.
I don't believe that.
That's the most unfiltered fucking fiberglass infused.
I'm 99% sure if you look at the ad, that is tobacco at the very end of that cigarette. Yeah. That is definitely not a filter.
That's insane. So, continuing on with his controversial campaigns, the Banana Republic campaign. In the 1920s, United Fruit Company, a multinational corporation with significant operations in Central America, was facing backlash due to labor strikes and negative publicity surrounding its horrific, deplorable, and human-killing working conditions. To improve its image, the company turned to Bernays.
Of course.
He created a campaign that romanticized the company's banana plantations as a symbol of progress and as something to help modernize the civilization, very much underplaying the whole slavery side of it.
Yeah.
Modern day slavery, I should say. He paraded the company's role in bringing tropical fruits to the masses and improving living standards in Central and South America. And when I say paraded, I mean literally. Here is an excerpt from Washington State University's article, Blood for Bananas, United Fruit's Central American Empire. Chelsea, if you would like to read this portion in gray font.
Yes. They launched an advertising campaign revolving around their new cruise liner called the Great White Fleet. This cruise liner sailed civilians to the United Fruit-controlled countries in Central and South America to appeal to Americans' sense of adventure and foster a good corporate reputation with the American people. When the cruise liner docked in a country, cruisers often toured one of United Fruits' plantations. During this tour, the tourists would only be shown small areas of the banana plantations, theatrically set up to present the plantation as a harmonious place of work, when in reality, it was a place of harsh conditions and corruption. Their advertisements were key in swaying the American people to set out on an exotic adventure with the Great White Fleet. The flyer sent out described Central America as a land of pirates and romance. And the advertisement even portrays it as a place where pirates hid their gold. By giving the American tourists a false sense of romanticism of Central America, they sold more cruise tickets, and through association, more bananas. It's like North Korea.
I was literally just going to say they pulled a fucking North Korea.
Which is crazy because, like, if you... Like, I feel like the veil has been pulled off on North Korea, and you're like, how could people live like that? It's so fucking obvious. But then you just told me about women smoking cigarettes in a parade, and I'm like, hook, line, and sinker. I'll get on a plane and go to New York.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, propaganda works. Of course, while doing all this, he intentionally downplayed the harsh working conditions faced by the plantation workers. He avoided discussing issues such as low wages, long hours, and dangerous working environments. Edward Bernays' work is controversial and can be unethical. The overconsumption of the average American can be single-handedly traced to his work. The same goes for the fact that cigarette companies were subliminally advertising to children by keeping their advertisements at the eye height of a child and also having childlike perks like Joe Bucks or Marlboro Cash in the form of golden tickets or fake money that was to be collected and traded for branded gifts.
You and I had a conversation about this.
Yep.
You got so many things from your aunt, and my dad, by smoking Marlboro, got me the coolest, best sleeping bag for when I went to space camp.
Oh yeah. My aunt smoked Camels exclusively, and Camel actually had a literal golden ticket in every carton of cigarettes, or a pack of cigarettes, I should say. And I would patiently sit cross-legged waiting for her to pop that bitch open and hand me the Camel Bucks.
Yep. I couldn't roll up sleeping bags like the stuff sacks with my tiny little hands at the time. So for Marlboro to make a paper thin sleeping bag that my small infant like fingers and digits could roll up, and then it had a tie around. I didn't have to stuff it into shit. I could get that stuff rolled up so fast. Thank you. Also a leather bound drawing book. And I felt like a real paleontologist when I sketched little dinosaurs in it.
So thank you, cigarette companies.
Yeah, hell yeah. It was good. Thank you for my childhood.
His techniques, often characterized as manipulative and deceptive, raised questions about the boundaries of public relations and the responsibility of practitioners to the public. His methods contributed to the decline in trust in institutions and the media, which obviously has had negative consequences for society as a whole. One of the most significant criticisms of Bernays' work is his exploitation of psychological vulnerabilities. His use of techniques to influence behavior can be seen as disrespectful to individuals' autonomy. Looking at his campaigns for cigarettes specifically, this raises concerns about the responsibility of public relations professionals to consider the broader social and health implications of their work. Despite these criticisms, Bernays' work has had a long-standing history, and some might say unfortunate impact, on not just the United States, but the world at large. His techniques and strategies continue to be used today, albeit often with greater scrutiny and a little bit more of an ethical approach.
Fucking no, they're not.
And that's it. That's Edward
insane.
Bernays.
It's crazy because like I had never heard this name before, but I know of every single fucking campaign you mentioned. I knew that they marketed cigarettes to women to make them skinny. Like I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that there were war bonds, and I was given bonds as a child. So like that's how much they influenced like the growing generations, because my grandparents gave me bonds when I was little, and my dad just gave them to me this year.
Yeah, and like the war parades, like with the little war cheerleaders and stuff, all Edward Bernays.
Yeah. Like
Crazy.
Rosie the Riveter, all that stuff. Like,
yeah, just all of that was attributed to him.
What was that movie? What's your favorite movie? John Carpenter movie? They Live?
They Live, yeah.
I'm about to go watch that movie as soon as we're done recording.
Ooh, I'm so excited for you.
And I feel like this is going to fit very well into that. It'll be my first time seeing it, despite you telling me that I needed to have seen it for years now.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite story you told me today, was that Oliver went to go get a Friday the 13th tattoo, and he couldn't get a Grim Reaper because it didn't fit. So he got what we're presuming he thought was a sugar skull. Turns out to be
sugar skull.
One of the aliens from They Live. And I was like, dude, even better. One of my favorite movies ever. And
yeah, I would have been a little sad if he would have gotten a sugar skull. I probably would have made him cover it up.
Yeah.
But he got it, and he goes, yeah, the guy said it's from a John Carpenter movie. I went, oh my God, I know. That has to be Noelle's movie. That has to be Noelle's movies. And then that was when we had the conversation, because I sent you the screenshot. It's actually super cute. Color is brilliant, and I'm excited to see it heal. And but he was like, now I got to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Oh, you guys you're gonna love it. You're absolutely gonna love it. It's and then you're also gonna you're gonna see it all ties back to this. Obey, like the skateboard company, the fashion brand, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I think Obey pulled a lot of its stuff from the graffiti artist Shepard Fairey, who pulled all of his stuff from John Carpenter's They Live. So the Obey, consume, spend, that is all from John Carpenter's They Live. And it's all about mind control through advertising.
Yeah.
And consume. I'm very excited for you to watch that.
My life is about to be changed, and I am very excited. And if you want to watch it, I will give you my Amazon Prime login, which I feel like you might already have.
I think I have my own, but I own They Live. I own They Live on physical copy because I believe in owning physical media. So it's so fucking good. And there's a scene in there where like he's trying to put the glasses on his friend, and he's like, I just need you to see what I see. And it's very topical to like how it feels today.
I've definitely seen the scene of Donald Sutherland doing like the point in Scream, which I am 99% sure is from that. But that's it. And I think I've seen like the aliens and stuff, because when you and I talk about it, it always influences my TikTok.
Yeah, and then like there was like a old fucking scene band. I wish I knew who it was, but they started one of their songs with the "I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum," which is a line from They Live. Yeah. And apparently Roddy Piper improvised that line, so it's fucking iconic. But anyway, yeah, have fun watching one of my favorite movies ever, They Live.
Well, I will text you updates as I go.
Yeah, please. And you know what else you can do while you're texting me updates, and everyone else who's not texting me is going to the link tree in all of our bios. We are at Go to Hell Podcast. I am at Noelle Fain. That is at Sith Lard. And in those bios, you can find a link to our link tree. You click into that and you can get our Patreon. $1 gets you in. We talked about creed and politics today, which is a fun little sandwich. We also have a link to our merch. 100% of proceeds are donated. We have a link to Kelly Halloran or at Wildwood Owl on Etsy. She makes cool shit for us and she makes cool shit in general. So go check her out. We also have a link to, what else do we have in there? Oh, our Discord server and YouTube, especially YouTube. Go like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever it is you do on YouTube. We also have a bunch of resources up there still. And I don't know why you would need it, but just in case, there's also a link to listen to us, which is anywhere podcasts are heard.
Nice.
And I am going to go ahead and give a hail to John Carpenter's They Live. And I will also give a hail to my hand-drawn family tree of Edward Bernays.
Yes. I will also hail Noelle's hand-drawn family tree because she put so much effort into it and I still failed to understand it. So.
But do you see how none of the lines cross? That's how you know there's no incest.
It's color-coded. That's what people don't get. It's 100% color-coded.
So let's get the fuck out of here.
All right. Bye.
Bye.